be a bumpy night.
What's going on, everybody? This is the Laugh Bunker Podcast. My name is Josh. Paul, great to see you. Back another great episode. This episode we're talking about sports movies, so we're going to get to that pretty soon. I mean, we're both excited to kind of really break down some sports talk and some sports movies, but everything else, everything good with you? How's everything?
Everything is well. Family's doing well. Wife started school already. The new world of online teaching. Or they're doing faculty meetings right now and getting ready to start up. My daughter will be online. Work is work. Training hard.
Yeah.
Been hitting the mountain very hard to get ready for a climb. Been hiking with Moses, and hiked with Moses
you went yesterday in the 100-degree weather.
It was 100 degrees. We carry materials on Thursday, so we don't do super far because I have to go back home and go to work.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had a nice hike, and what's nice about the heat is that there was no one on the trails. It was great. Had some good fellowship, and really, the guy can just go forever, and that's basically what it is.
That's good.
So we're training for September to go to Mount Wilmington, which is 14,380 feet. It's 26 miles round trip, and 10,000 feet elevation gain. Now it's not a marked trail. It's more route finding at the top. It's actually class 4 climbing.
Wow.
So you're actually having to go up a chute. So it's a long deal. I'd like to do it in a day, but because it's not a standard route, we'll probably end up sleeping. There's a killer. You sleep about 10, 12,000 feet overlooking. You'll see Mount Whitney, whatever. So we're training for that. That's going good. Other than that, that's about my deal for the next 4 or 5 weeks. And then I have... you talked about Palm Springs, but I think in late October I might go away for a weekend. There's a mountain there called San Juanito. I'd like to go up it. And so I know you talked about it, but you know what the temperature is in Palm Springs today? Like 119 or something. I mean,
I'm sure it's insane.
Forget that. Now, when you went to Palm Springs, was it in the spring or when did you go? Like winter?
I think the time to go is probably the winter. That's when most people like to go, is the winter, because I think they call it shoulder season, or I forgot what they call it. They have a name for it. But I think it's in the winter. Yeah, I go in the summer, but summer. It's brutal in the summer. But more towards the
brutal. Dude, go outside our house right now.
Yeah,
it's brutal. I mean, we're in August. It's going to be harsh.
Did you see the fire yesterday? The Azusa fire?
In fact, I'm going to send you some pictures.
Yeah, send me some pictures.
I was on the hill. So we went up from Sierra Madre and Mount Wilson Trail, and we picked up the materials. We had to pick these pipe up because they are fixing the trails. The amount of people on the trails last Sunday, I saw 200 people at least. It was horrible. So the trails are taking a beating. So we were taking the material up. So we left at like 1:35, got on the trail, and we were back down at, and there was nothing. So even when we could see the horizon within the first hour, so from, let's say 2:30, nothing. We came down, we could see the smoke. By the time I got to the trail and pulled on to Colorado Boulevard, maybe 20, 30 minutes, it looked like a bomb.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a cloud that if you took that picture and put it black and white, you would think World War II. I've never seen anything like that.
Did you take a picture of it? I took a picture.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
It blew my mind. I actually pulled over, and some guy said, "What are you doing?" In fact, I pulled over at the lumber store, Gallon House, right next to Target on Colorado. And he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "Look." And he goes, "Oh, my God." And people were coming out of the store and just staring at it was like end of world stuff.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And
I step outside my door, and I had a straight shot view of it, and it was just like this big plume cloud, just like Hiroshima bomb.
It was insane. But I will tell you, unfortunately, first of all, when I went to work last night, half our guests were from Azusa. We had to leave.
Okay.
And the sunset, driving to work at 7:20 last night, was killer. I mean, the smoke magnifies the sun.
It's like an orangish red.
It was spectacular, along with the humidity of our high weather coming in.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. But yeah, I wouldn't hike today or tomorrow because the quality of air. I mean, it's going to be dark brown. It was dark brown last night, and so we're going to go. I think me and Moses are going to go to Baldy on Sunday.
Oh, nice.
Baldy's 10,000 feet. But what's nice is at Baldy Village, which is at 52 or 5,400 feet, the high's only 78.
Okay.
In fact, when we get there in the morning, it'll be 51.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting. I always saw people training, wrestlers covered up. I think MMA, boxers, guys are always covered up.
Yeah.
And some of them, I know that they need to make weight. I understand the water weight, whatever. But it's interesting. I've been hiking in the cool for the last month and getting up at 2 or 3 in the morning. And the ability to go fast is incredible. In fact, I on Sunday had the best time I ever had. But working in the heat when you're not used to, I mean, yesterday I wanted to turn around and in an area that I normally run to. It just is staggering. But now, 2 years ago, we trained in the heat because of my work schedule. It makes all the difference. It's
it does.
You have a governor on your heart, and you don't overheat.
Yeah,
and I would think in fighting, I understand now.
I've done a trail or two. Just the last one we did, just a simple Hollywood sign trail. And I remember the first time I did it was probably like 90 something degrees, and it was rough to be out there trekking through that big old little hill. But this time, the last time I went, it was really gloomy and cool and all that, and it was.
The sun is killer.
It was super
Southern
easy.
California,
it was super easy, and I was just like, the sun makes a big difference, huge difference.
Well, look at where we're at comparatively to where like we were in Chicago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, the difference is huge, and but anyway, so that's other than that, not much is going on. And how about you? I mean, how many hours of MMA do you watch a week?
It seems to be I'm getting like a fight every Saturday at least.
Well, I see the updates, and I read ESPN. And I always look at the section anyway. Yeah. A lot of people what was this last one? It said that they're not having the fight. Someone is sick or got tested positive. Or?
No, they're doing the UFC is doing a really good job in terms of testing their people. Anytime they fly somebody out, they test them. They test them before they fly out, when they get there. The night of the fight, after the fight, so they're testing. They're doing a lot of money, spending a lot of money on testing. So you're gonna catch one. They catch them, and then they kind of take them off the card. And if they don't catch them before, and then they have a bubble. They if you listen to any press conferences, especially with like Dana White, and they always ask them like any advice to give to other sports leagues. And it's funny because we're talking about sports today on this episode. But I was watching HBO's Chargers and Rams series. I think it's a Hard Knocks.
Mm-hmm.
So they put the first episode up this week, and they're showing how it's
current. Current. Okay.
Yeah. So they're showing all the steps they're taking for social distancing and all that. But I don't think they have the players in a bubble. I think the players are kind of. I think they're able to go home if they want. Whereas with
basketball.
Yeah, with basketball and the UFC, and if you listen to Dana White again, he's saying you can't do this without a bubble. Like,
did you hear about the Seattle football player?
No.
He tried to smuggle in his girlfriend dressed as a player yesterday or 2 days ago. Anyway, he was cut. He was cut from the team.
So do you know if the NFL is doing more of a bubble, or once they get their players in, are they keeping them in somewhere?
It's really interesting because sports at one time, especially football, and it's because I latch on to players.
Yeah.
So when I was in Namche Bazaar coming down from Everest region, I logged in to see who won the Super Bowl, and Brady, it was his first win over the Titans, and I was like, who the hell is Tom Brady?
Yeah.
So I really followed him for 20 years because when you're from Detroit, growing up, your football team sucks. They suck.
Yeah, they do.
Every year.
Yeah.
In fact, one time on Sports network, ESPN, they said, and Jesse Sandus heard this, and he has dogged me out every year with this. And they said, well, the Detroit Lions have clinched another losing season. I mean, that's the butt of the joke. So growing up, my grandfather, Irish, and like, hey, you stay in the division. You ain't leaving the division no matter what.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the way it is. Division and then conference. You don't leave the NFC no matter what. But I watched a lot of college football growing up. My mom was a big college football fan.
Yeah.
And loved sports anyway. I mean, we grew up going to Tiger Stadium. Nope, not basketball and really not football. More baseball and college football for me growing up in sports. I was never good in sports. I just had a good arm, and I could get on base. So that's why we played baseball every year.
Yeah.
From 5 years old on till I got injured. Till I fell in the hole and broke my leg. So sports was a big part of our life. And college football. But I moved to Chicago in 85. You can't be a Bears fan in 1985 with Mike Ditka without having your ass kicked. I mean, this is not the sports of today, pal.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the IQ of any of I didn't know any of the Bears had a thought. No one knew what they thought. Maybe after the game, but other than that, there was no social media.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I started getting into football because of that. And it was different. You could go in at halftime at Soldier Field. You could stand in line and go in at halftime. You could not the boxes or expensive seats. And we worked out by Lake Forest, and we would go watch the practices. Yeah. So that's when I got into more pro football. But because of the corona, the social unrest, the election coming up, and because I'm turning on sports and seeing fake people in the background, I can't. I don't know. Maybe I'm 58 and I don't care, but it doesn't have as importance to me.
No.
I'm not on ESPN every day, every morning reading the headline as I was maybe 6 months ago.
You're not the only person I've heard saying that it just doesn't have at least for NBA, they have fake people. They have they have like these interactive Titantron little jumbotron screens with like all these little squares where people are in them on all sides of the court area. So I thought it was kind of cool, a little interactive.
But sometimes it cuts to the bench, and when it cuts to these other areas, it throws me. And there's so much going on in the world.
Yeah, baseball has the cardboard cutout people. They're charging for those. They charge a couple, at least 100 for the higher up seats, and then around 200 for the lower field seats.
If you look at all the seats, they're just covered in advertising.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. I just saw it. It's all boxed off to different advertising. That being said, I'm thankful to have my old movies. I'm thankful to, catch up on some series.
Yeah.
But as always, I'm always binge watching a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah.
And I do have something new this week.
Okay.
I've been watching, well, first of all, what have you been? I mean, other than MMA,
with MMA, I get a fight or two a week sometimes.
Yeah.
They throw a Wednesday card every now and then on there. Definitely a Friday card, because there's another Bellator, that second organization, like the big one in the U.S. They're putting fights now. So.
Oh, are they starting moving forward?
Yeah, they had their bubble over at the Kansas City. Is it WinStar? The WinStar Casino and Resort or whatever. It's one of their go-tos.
It's in KC?
I think it's in KC.
I
forgot what city or state it's in, but I believe it's over there. But they had the fighters there for the week or two, and then they keep them in there and then fly them out. But I log in probably. I mean, a card goes from like 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. So especially on Saturdays, I'm in front of the TV all day. Like
I don't. I try not to watch TV on my work days. So 4 days a week, I don't. I watch it for food.
Yeah.
So in other words, I always put on a movie to eat. And it's funny, we're talking about sport movies this week, and two movies that have been on my rotation. So I have Spectrum, and they have free movies. So whatever's up there, I just rotate. This last week, it's funny, during our music talk, Almost Famous was on there, so I watched it. My wife thinks I'm insane, which I am, but
yeah, I don't really watch TV. I watch movies. Is movies playing?
I can listen to movies.
Yeah.
So in other words, the movies I watch, I've seen. I'm very busy. I'm not always can't sit in front of the TV. Yeah. I'm either cooking or cleaning or baking or doing different things. So I listen to the movies. So this week, the movies that I have been watching are Rudy, which is one of my. It's really one of the highly rated sports movies. It's about the player, Notre Dame. In fact, Sean Austin plays the character, the Hobbit dude. And he just wants to play one play so he can get his letter and his dad can be proud of him.
Yeah.
Great story. It has John Favreau in it. Vince Vaughn is in it. Favreau, his big hit was Swingers first with Vince Vaughn. Switched down. Now he's in the Marvel world. He did Iron Man. Elf, which I thought was a great film. So that came out of that. And he's really, you hardly recognize him. But in real life, the quarterback of that team was Joe Montana.
Oh, really?
And the real story. Now, he's not part of the story. There's no reference to him, but he was that player. The other movie that's been on my rotation is Cinderella Man.
That's a good one,
That's the Ron Howard film with Russell Crowe, Renee Zellweger, about Braddock. So it's interesting. I was talking to Moses, and he says, I lean more toward boxing. That's what he said. I lean more toward boxing. And you're more of an MMA, but that's also cultural in that you grew up in an era when there was no MMA when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I mean, the martial arts were just kickboxing, pretty much, or Thai or overseas, but that wasn't translating in the world pre-digital for us. So, Cinderella Man about James Braddock, light heavyweight champion.
As far as movies, I mean, MMA is not,
I did like one movie, The Warrior, movies. With him.
Yeah, Warrior's okay, but I think when it comes to the fighting, the thing is, when it comes to the fighting, a lot of it's not even realistic. It's very staged. It's just, I don't know, it doesn't translate that well. I think people...
The fight scenes, though, in Cinderella Man were good.
Yeah, boxing translates a lot easier.
Translates. And even though Ron Howard can be sappy, he likes the milk. Sports dramas are... Anyway, before we go to sports dramas, tell me what you watched this week. Those were just two things I've watched. I have a couple more, but those were two which translates into our show. So what have you watched other than MMA?
What have I watched? You know what? I don't think I've watched anything new other than Narcos. I've watched a lot of the same stuff this past week since we last talked. I don't think I've seen any other movies.
Same spot. I mean, it's comfortable for you.
Yeah,
right?
I can't even think of a movie I watched. Jurassic Park, Narcos. I watched Insomnia with Pacino and Robin Williams last night.
You like that?
Yeah. I
saw that at the theater, by the way, years ago when it came out. Was it from the 90s, right? Late 90s, 2000?
Early 2000s.
Yeah.
Early 2000s. I think it was Christopher Nolan's follow-up to Memento. I think that was a last
great movie with Guy Pearce.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? So that movie's backwards, right? Okay, it's a reveal, but you can put it on the same timeline of every other single film. If you take it, it's the 15, it's the 5 minutes, it's the 17th minute. It lines up perfect. But I thought that, and it has the chick, Carrie Moss from, can't say that word chick, sorry, the girl from or the woman from Matrix.
Yeah, Carrie Ann Moss, yeah.
And and it also got the other dude from Matrix in it, Patolini, the dude from Sopranos. He's the guy who sets up in the first Matrix.
Is it the bald one, Cypher? Or whatever? Yeah.
Anyway, good choice.
He's a good actor. Yeah. What else? What else have we seen? Nothing that stands out to me. I don't no, nothing really. Blue Chips. Which is one of my
Little Tips with Nick Nolte?
yeah. That's one of my movies,
Movie?
my sports movies. Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Interesting. You
yeah.
know, when you start researching the sport movie, there's like 200 billion. And I sent
No.
you that text about Jaws. Well, if the AFI puts Caddyshack as one of the
Yeah,
top sports movies, eh, not the, but one of the top sports movies
yeah.
because it represents golfing, well, then definitely Jaws represents fishing, correct? On a different venue.
Yeah.
No, I think I've been pretty productive in wasting my life and watching things this week. I'm always falling back on Narcos. I can't get enough of the cartel.
Yeah.
I'm really into the Cali thing now and the
Yeah.
introduction of Cali into Mexico.
Yeah.
So I'm bored 100% with that. The two films, Rudy and Cinderella, the
Yeah.
sports films, I usually turn on the TV when I'm eating.
Yeah.
If my wife's here or we're not having family dinner. So I've been watching a lot of that.
Yeah. For me, it's
Dawn,
YouTube,
huh?
podcast or two. For me, it's YouTube, like
Oh,
a podcast or two, or just catching up on whatever news, just whatever's going on.
no,
Just
I
check out
don't
real quick.
really watch YouTube unless I use it for listening to music,
Okay.
which I'm into this Mamas and Papas,
Yeah.
California Dreamin',
Yeah.
60s Southern California rock and roll for some reason. I can't listen to too heavy music when I write because I become too infatuated with the beat and with the music or with the words, and then
Yeah.
I
I think I have a feeling it throws your frequency off,
oh,
like
totally.
your brain
Totally.
frequency.
I need the mellow.
Yeah.
Usually jazz. John
Yeah.
Coltrane is something I like to listen to when I'm working in that era.
Yeah.
So I did watch Tombstone the other day
Okay.
again.
Nice.
Tombstone, Kurt Russell, Val Kilmer, Bill Paxton. Michael Biehn plays Johnny Ringo in that movie, and he was in the movie Bill Paxton, Terminator, the first
Nice.
Terminator.
Yeah.
And but did you know that the director dropped out of that, and Kurt Russell directed that film?
For Tombstone.
Yeah, Val
Oh.
Kilmer just did a big interview about this
Uh-huh.
about a couple months ago, maybe a half year ago, whatever.
How does
Val
he sing,
Kilmer,
Val Kilmer?
he's working on cancer. He's got some
Yeah,
serious
he
cancer.
had like throat cancer, right?
He
Yeah.
looks horrible.
Did he sound
I,
horrible? Because I know he last time I
I
heard
did
him.
not hear him speak. All I
Okay.
saw was the photo, but
Okay.
I did. It was a written interview that I
Okay.
read and said that and really it's a great film. It was panned by Siskel and Ebert. They gave it a thumbs down, and it kept making so much money that they actually had to go back and review it
Yeah.
and gave it more of a positive. But I think it was a great movie. I watched it. I enjoyed it. More dawn wall climbing
Yeah.
when I'm eating. Watching this movie Maru. It's about a mountain in the Himalayas.
Mhm.
Shark fin, lots of tragedy. It's gorgeous, very hard climb. 4,000 foot rock climb in the Himalayas, which is
Wow.
that's 1,000 feet taller than El Cap.
Yeah.
Okay, so but the guy who's the climber director of that, his wife is the one who directed Free Solo, which won the
Okay.
Oscar in
Mhm.
2018 about Alex Honnold soloing Al Cap. So
Mhm.
all connected. Watch that, and then Rudy and Cinderella Man. So those have
Nice.
been my going back to Narcos. If you don't know what you're doing and you turn on Narcos, what part? Where do you drop in at? Are you back with Pablo? Are you with Cali? Are you in Mexico? What's your favorite part?
Um, I think right now I'd like to go back. I'm in Mexico right now. I don't know why I like the characters in Mexico. I like as a group. Like I just like like Rafa, and then you have like I just like I like all of them. I like
I like.
the whole
I got to tell you, to me though. Okay, so who's your favorite character of the Mexican
of
cartel? How weird
the
is this that we're saying this?
the airplane guy. What's his name?
Lotto.
Yeah, he's my favorite from that series. But
I
I like all those characters, all of them. I love them all. So that's why I think I go back to it, and then maybe it's a little bit more familiarity with the locations. I guess.
And
Family.
because your family works for the cartel.
Yeah, they're probably that too.
I shouldn't. I'm gonna get whacked later, right?
No.
But you know what's cool is that I'm fit now. So if I get hung by the bridge, people will drive by and go, "That guy's dead, but he's in shape."
Yeah.
So at least I have something there,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Unless
Put up a
they
good fight.
bloat me on purpose to make me look fat, just to dog me out, which I can see them.
I like the Cali Cartel, the season you're in right now. Like Pacho and all them. I thought that season was really like I don't know. I enjoyed that one. And then Pablo, I don't know, maybe because I've seen a lot of Pablo. I've seen documentaries on Pablo. The series itself was great. I haven't revisited it since I first saw the 2 seasons with Pablo.
Worth the revisit because the head actor, I can't
he's
think
great.
of his.
Yeah.
Well, he's a movie star. I mean,
even his scene when in the Mexico seasons is just great. That the whole
where he just comes in at the round the outdoor patio thing.
Hippopotamus and yeah. That's such a great scene too. So.
I love the Pablo. Obviously, I grew up in the era of the Pablo. Yeah. Supported Pablo for many years, and just get a Christmas card from him.
Yeah.
But no, just the actor's great. But there's no doubt that they did not know how popular it would become, because it seems like that you could have got me really more in depth on Pablo. It seemed like it was wrapped up so close, and I think they pitched it, they put the budget together, and then when it kicked off, because I feel like the quality of the Calais and even leading into Mexico, it's more in depth with relationships, which I like. I mean, that's what I liked about Pablo too. I loved the relationship between him and his wife Tata. I loved his cousin, who was his business partner, Gustavo. I thought that the weakest part on the first 2 seasons dealing with Medallion was the blonde-haired DEA guy.
Yeah.
The guy who plays his partner, and I can't remember his name. He's incredible.
Pedro Pascal? Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? I heard that before the Corona, he was doing some stage work. He was going to be in a play in Broadway in New York.
Yeah, so no, he's been doing a lot of really good work. He's some big budget stuff. He's in the Star Wars series right now, The Mandalorian. He's the main lead.
Okay, that's a shame. But other than that, with Kali, there's a couple. I mean, the story that, to me, Kali, now that we're talking about this anyway, I love the security director who does take them down. Not only, I think he's a great actor, and who I love on that is the assassin.
Yeah, who's the assassin?
Think of his name. He's got the curly hair, but remember when he says I'm going to hate to kill you? Remember?
Yeah.
He says he likes him and he's dogging him out because he doesn't carry a gun. But that's my favorite character in Kali, would be those storylines.
Okay.
And the son, the evil son of one guy, he looks like the houseman from the Westin. That guy, that guy's like a big time comedian. Mencino, I think his name is. I saw on HBO he has a show.
Yeah, no, I can't find him.
Anyway,
I know who you're talking about. Yeah, no, that I suggest. I hear a lot of people. Maybe some I know personally, some I just know from like whatever show I'm watching or podcast I'm watching. But they stopped after the Pablo season, or those 2 seasons, and like they haven't bothered to watch any of the Cali or the Mexico. And I'm like, you gotta. If anybody like hasn't seen those seasons, especially the following 3 seasons with Cali and Mexico, I think it's just they're not doing them. They're doing themselves a disservice, because those are great follow-ups to the Pablo series.
Okay? So, tell me your favorite person from the Pablo era. Tell me your favorite person from Cali, and tell me your favorite. Well, you told me Mexico's a model, but what about in Cali and what about in Colombia? Who were your 2 favorite people there?
Italian. Even in the Pablo season, I think Pablo definitely probably takes the cake in terms of the character that just draws your attention the most. Um, the Cali Cartel, and even when they're in the Pablo season, it's got to be Pacho. He was always my favorite, and I think he really comes to like they bring out the character more, his like ruthlessness and who he is in the Cali Cartel season.
Yeah, when he pulls the guy apart.
Yeah,
the motorcycles.
Yeah, and then I like how they even brought him into the Mexico season, and then in the Cali season they introduced the Mexico cast and some of the characters. So yeah.
In Mexico, I like Don Nito.
I do too.
He just seems like a cool dude.
Yeah.
Like even when the cop pulls him over and the whole thing, he's not a dick.
No.
You know what I mean? He's just he just seems like a guy just having
a regular
the time
guy
of his life type of thing. Mm-hmm. Rafa's cool. The relationship with Rafa and the rich girl who ended up causing everything to get taken down, I thought was killer.
Yeah.
And I like Sicario. You've seen Sicario?
Yeah, I love Sicario.
That's a movie that I watch all the time. In fact, I probably watched a few minutes of it later. The drug lord that Antonio Banderas shoots.
Oh yeah. He's a main the guy.
I like that guy, man.
Oh, that guy's great.
And
I thought he was great in Sicario when he had that little role, and I've never seen him before.
Oh,
I was like, this guy's a star. He
doesn't say much, but he owned the screen. He owned the screen over Antonio Banderas in that screen.
In that scene, whether it's just both them talking at the dinner table, I'm like, he stole the scene and over Antonio Banderas, and you're just like, you want to know who this guy is, like who is this guy?
Was that because? Okay, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So now that we're talking about Sicario. Is that because that we're introduced to Antonio Banderas as the mysterious guy? So it's been played out for an hour and 30, 40 minutes so that this new guy, we haven't seen him. And it's, and also in dealing with that scene, I mean, it is the highest pressure and conflict. Your family's going to be killed. So the stakes are at the ultimum, correct?
Yeah.
And that gentleman is at the stake or the consequence of the stake, the drug lord. So do you think that he stands out because he's a greater actor, or have we already become accustomed to Antonio Banderas and the drug lord is just new and his family's at risk? Does that your thought of acting?
No, I think it had to do just his presence. Even you can even go down to his voice, like the raspiness, deepness of his voice.
Well, and he doesn't move at all.
He doesn't move at all. I don't know.
Very stoic.
Because most of the time, like a drug lord, they're forgettable or they're just there.
Because they're on drugs.
Yeah, like there's some drug lords that
that's the downside to being a drug lord. You forget where your money is.
Yeah, like have you seen Miami Vice? Did you see the Miami Vice movie with Colin Farrell and Jamie Foxx? Okay,
for 5 minutes.
The main drug lord in that movie, I thought, was very menacing looking. He had a really big beard, and it's kind of like losing his hair and all that. But he stood out. But he didn't have lasting. You know
what? We're gonna do a show about gangsters and criminals.
Yeah, we could do that.
The mob movies are continually in our lives, and so is The Godfather a movie about cooking? Because he teaches, remember?
Yeah.
Al Pacino?
Yeah.
I forget who it was, but it was the guy who who was friends when he was younger and showed him how to steal stuff, Robert. But anyway, that being said,
what I do like about the Narcos series is that it is like the production is like a combination of like it's an American production, but it has all Hispanic, like Latin cast, and you get to see the real depth that those countries and those actors kind of where they're from, where they mainly do their work, and the talent that's there where you don't really see them over here.
Okay, there's
a lot of
agree 100%.
Yeah.
Well, you know that I forget, location manager was murdered by the cartel.
Yeah. Those, yeah.
Probably showed up at the wrong location. It's a dangerous job, but
if you look up a lot of these actors, and they're from these areas, like they're either Colombian or they're Mexican actors, or they're like they're from different areas. Like the guy who played Pablo is Brazilian, and so they're all like South American, Central American characters.
I like the lady in Mexico who's kind of the broker. I don't know her name or her actress name, whatever. She's very attractive. She's the one that puts together the deal with Colombia. At the end, the one lady hands her a check, the buyout. I like her because she just was. I just thought you're right. The show was, and definitely the Mexican cop who worked for Diego. Definitely, I liked him too. Remember when they changed sides? He showed him the marijuana. I thought he was He reminds me of the drug lord from Sicario a little bit, even though they're the same. He's just a powerful person.
Yeah,
and
I don't know.
Definitely I like something I switch back to all the time.
Yeah, I do too. And we don't get exposed to a lot of the talent that's down there, and the quality of talent, the quality of actors that comes from those countries. It's like they don't get a lot of exposure out here, and because they don't do a lot of work. But I think just seeing the depth of those actors, and they're all. I thought it's pretty interesting. One of my favorites too is Pablo Acosta. The mustache, the one.
I was just gonna say
Kevin Bacon's daughter
with the blonde, and his girlfriend is stinking killer actress. I mean,
that's Kevin Bacon's daughter. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. That's who.
Is Kevin Bacon that old man?
Yeah. Sosie Bacon.
Holy
cow!
That's their daughter. I'm back thinking Footloose with Kevin Bacon. And see, when you get old, you get caught in things. But
Kevin Bacon, Kira Sedgwick. That's her daughter.
I thought that okay, in Mexico, in the Mexican series, that relationship was the best.
Yeah.
I loved it, and you really wanted that to work out for him.
Yeah.
But he was, okay, after Don Nito, you're right. He's number 2, but I couldn't remember his name, but yes. And that relationship, and he just seemed like a cool guy.
Cool guy, just a normal guy, just is in the business. He wanted to get out, I guess. I don't know.
He wanted to get out and be with the girl.
Yeah, and I like that conversation he had with what's that one actor? Scott McNary, Walt, the DEA agent guy.
He was pretty. I thought, by the way, of the DEA agents, I put him number 2 up to the guy from the
Pedro Pascal.
I thought that he was tremendous. To be honest,
I thought their scene that they had on the roof when he's fixing the roof, and then he comes up on the ladder, and then that's like
they have some beers.
Yeah, that was a great scene. I like that, where he's kind of trying to make a deal with him. Yeah, that was a good one.
Definitely. So, okay. Now, sports.
Yeah, let's get to some sports movies.
So, growing up, what sports did you play? Tell me what your influence was.
Sports movies, you would have to go, or sports, sports in general. Sports in general. Okay. I mean, I played sports. I was never like a lot of other kids, even in high school and all that just lived and breathed whatever sport they were playing. I played just to play. I played just to either socialize or stay in shape or whatever. As a kid, you're just playing just because your parents tell you to. I played soccer, basketball, mainly those. A little bit I remember flag football a little bit. I remember a little baseball, but mainly it was soccer and basketball. And then high school, a little wrestling, and then football and a little soccer. But I remember in football, especially in high school, you take it more seriously. I was fortunate to have a really cool coach, and he was from Orange County.
Okay, so what year was that?
This was 04, 03, 04. And then he was from Modern Day. Yeah, he was from Modern Day, the coach. Young guy, spiky hair, blonde, and just insane shape. He wore like this like like dress shirts, but with short sleeve dress shirts and then a tie. That's how he would go into the games.
Like 1960s.
Yeah,
that's pretty interesting. It's almost like how Vince Lombardi dressed.
Yeah, funny. Just a really intense, really chill. Really intense guy, but chill at the same time. And then really got us together as a team, and I played. I wasn't like
what position?
I wasn't a starter. I was on I think defensive tackle, and then I wasn't fast enough. I wasn't big enough. I wasn't slow, but I mainly played just to play, stay in shape, and socialize. That was my main only interest. I mean, I didn't take it seriously like a lot of the other guys, but I had a lot of fun. I don't know. What about you?
Grew up in Detroit, baseball.
Baseball.
Played baseball, left the house. I mean, we played catch, my father and I, in the basement growing up. I was a pitcher. But I was small. I could get on base, but no home run hitter. Yeah. But we left the house. It's funny, Detroit was kind of in neighborhoods. So my best friend Steve, his brothers were in the basketball neighborhood.
Okay.
I had friends that were in the hockey neighborhood. I was in the baseball neighborhood and football, but because I was small, didn't play. So played baseball every summer up to 8th grade till I had my accident, and then never really played sports again. Yeah. I mean, organized sports, and that's where things went more individual,
fitness and
weightlifting, bodybuilding.
Yeah, same.
Aerobic, marathon, stuff like that. Yeah.
Even in high school, for me, I was more focused on just kind of being in shape and trying to I don't know, I remember I had like a kind of an average kind of chubby-ish body going into high school, and then freshman year and then senior year I dropped a ton of weight, and then because I was running a lot around like the school around across the street from my house and just running around and trying to exercise, so I dropped a ton of weight, got really skinny, and then had to put on weight as I went into football because I got too skinny. So I was like, oh, I got to put on weight.
So when you graduated high school, how much did you weigh?
I think I always hovered around kind of where I am now. I've between 185 and 190. Right now I'm in like 192, but I've always been around lowest I ever weighed was probably 180. Yeah, that was probably the lowest I ever weighed.
When I graduated high school,
the most I ever weighed, and this is not my muscle really, this is the most I ever weighed was 230.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, now I weighed 235. Okay, when I was one time.
Okay.
And I was doing more powerlifting.
Okay.
So I was a little heavier. But at that time, I could bench 405 twice. And then I could squat 505. I mean, and look what it's got me. It's phenomenal, the money I've made from it. But no, so there was no fitness when I grew up. I didn't find out fitness till I saw Arnold's Education of a Bodybuilder at Walden Books at Woodland Mall. And it was like I had a religious experience. So I bought the book, and then I told my dad I had to get the Ted Williams concrete wrapped in plastic weight set, and lift it in the basement. And then that was just part of the deal. And that's why Pump and Iron is probably one of my more influential sports film in my life, obviously because of Arnold. And I mean, people like me, we supported Arnold. Of Arnold because of me and people like me who bought into the whole deal.
And you would consider weightlifting and as a sport.
Well, when you look at, I could never be a bodybuilder because I don't like to oil up men. But I mean, I think it's awesome.
But you like
I
the
like to
process
be
of it
oiled
because
up.
you really went into the process of it, and I think I would consider a lot of people do consider weightlifting and bodybuilding as a
Well,
sport
I mean,
because there is a competitive nature to it, and you have
it's
to really get
competitive, and
get into shape, obviously.
and if you're at that level, I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, he's Babe Ruth. He's Michael Jordan. It doesn't matter who comes up after him. We heard of him because Pumping Iron went to Cannes as a documentary, and it came out of an article from ESPN.
Yeah.
And it just built. There would not be gyms.
No.
In fact, I'm going to tell you a story. So, years ago, I wanted to get a job at Gold's Gym. And I went into the headquarters, and it was somewhere outside LA. I forget where, not in the valley, but I forget where it was. So I went and I ended up talking to them on an interview to manage a gym. And so the guy was there. He was, young guy, whatever. And I'm old. So he goes, man, he said, why are you applying for this? He goes, you don't have any management experience. I said, you owe me, man. And he said, I owe you? I said, without idiots like me, you don't have this job. We built it for you. Yeah. So he goes, okay. He goes, I got a job for you. And you know where he sent me? The Hollywood. Gold's Gym, which is all gay. Which I don't care about that. But I went in to use the restroom, and I thought, you know what? I don't know if I can work out here or work here. And the guy did that just to dog me out. But anyway, Gold's Gym is synonymous with Pumping Iron.
Yeah.
And it's
fitness today. Yeah, fitness today would not be where it is. Sports, in a way, would not be where it is in terms of fitness and athletics without guys like Arnold and the guys before him that were, bodybuilders and fitness experts and, competing in that sense. Yeah.
About 3 or 4 years ago, I mean, I've taken steroids off and on I took them in college, and it's night and day. Because of my accident, I could never be perfect. So in other words, I like bodybuilding. I think if you do bodybuilding a few months a year, you're going to prevent yourself getting injuries because you're going to have muscle balance in your joints. Yeah. CrossFit, a lot of these. I mean, everything needs to go together. But bodybuilding is for that. And I was skinny.
Yeah.
I had an accident. I had a smart mouth. I got beat up. It was part of the deal. Do you know who Jack LaLanne is?
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty much the story for me. And I liked it. And I liked the gym. And I like it to this day. I mean, Gold's Gym in Pasadena closed because of this. And taking a straight note, Improv Olympic closed. In Chicago, that's like after Second City, that is it when it comes to improv. So
it's going to be interesting, man.
And even with the gyms, who's to say what's going to come back? And you can't buy weights. And I found an Olympic set online the other day.
Or you could buy weights, but people are charging.
Yeah, this was $1,099.
Oh yeah,
for an Olympic set.
Oh, for a set? Oh yeah.
That you could have got for $199 a year ago.
Yeah, sets. Yeah, you're looking at $1,000.
That being said, so Pumping Iron is that. So sports was only organized as a young man through baseball. I was too short for basketball. I was too small for football. And then it was more individual, the lifting, the powerlifting, running.
Now, as a youth, what movies inspired you? What were some of your youth sports movies? We'll start with those.
No, I would have to. It's sport. Well, the first sport movie was in 1915. It was Charlie Chaplin called The Champ. And when you start going through, there's so many sports movies.
So many.
And like movies for me, in generality, it's how I'm feeling. Yeah. So in other words, the sport movie of this last week of Cinderella Man and Rudy is not going to be the sport movie. I would have to say number one sport movie in my life would be Rocky.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because a lot of the movies that really I'm attached to that are sport movies. They're melodramatic. They're milking the heartstrings. I feel sad or there's something very nostalgic about it for me that I like. And boxing, tons of them. I mean, whether it's Denzel Washington, the Hurricane, or Cinderella Man, or Raging Bull, Jake LaMotta, whatever. Those are, and because I did box, it was funny. I boxed and I was terrible because I just can't. I don't hurt people. Yeah. Now, as a 58-year-old white guy, I have so much rage that if I was to get in the ring back then, I'd be the heavyweight champ. It's such a I can't hurt people. If I don't know you, I can't hurt you. I don't. Yeah. Even if you're hitting me with pillows. It's like we're having a pillow fight. I can't jump on.
Having some boxing experience. When you're watching boxing movies, obviously it's not realistic in terms of how they're doing a lot of the boxing moves, and they're doing a lot of wind up punches and taking a lot of shots that normally most people would just go down with.
Well, you know what? Okay.
Do you watch them and critique them in that sense, or do you just enjoy them? Because
no, I watch movies to be emotionally stimulated.
Yeah.
And the truth is, I would have to say with sports movies, the sport element might be the least important to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say, okay, so if we're going to talk about sport movies, are you going to say, do you like team sport movies, the Titans, Hoosiers, or do you go more for individual accomplishment? Rudy, Prefontaine.
I think like Raging Bull and stuff like that. I think if I'm wanting to see, I don't know. I think most dramas and ones that have to do with real people, almost like biodocs, they're usually those individual sports, and they usually tend to be the ones that draw me more. I think team sports usually seem either funner or they have some like kind of tragedy to them, but
not a biggest pull for you then.
No.
Okay.
I say more individual.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Rocky is my number one. Probably got me into. My mom always took me to see great movies. So when Rocky won the Oscar, whenever that was in January of '77, I was at the matinee the next day.
Huh.
So and cut the. And at that time I was limping pretty heavily because I had that was the year after my accident.
Yeah.
And so, but I cut my gloves off, and that movie created a camaraderie with certain people that maybe would have picked on me that was more positive. So not just because I was trained and did some Golden Glove fighting, but because the story, I love that story. I mean, every movie is the Rocky story.
Mm-hmm.
It's the hero. I love Talia Shire in it. You got Paulie. I mean, Carl Weathers was just spectacular to play that larger than life heavyweight champion. Mm-hmm. So that's number one for me. What would be yours? What's your favorite?
My number one sports movie. I think it depends on how. Again, I think it depends on how I'm feeling.
Mm-hmm. Like with all film.
Yeah, some of my favorite dramatic sports movies, The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke.
Oh,
I love that movie.
Well, the director too.
That one being a big wrestling fan too. It got a very throwback kind of like 80s, 90s wrestler when they still had
that movie is hard. I'll tell you what. You know when that movie is going to be awesome for you when you get my age. Things change in life, and that scene where they come into the empty gym where the tables are to set up their autographs.
When they do the autographs and they're all broken and beat up.
It's pretty. Yeah. I always talk about how I like to be sad in movies. I think sport movies have some serious. They're definitely, like we talked about, melodramatic. But that scene, and then when he gets mad.
Yeah.
And when I left he hits the slicer.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, because his hand, But that movie is very. I mean, as far as pro wrestling movies and anything that's tackled that genre, that's the most accurate I've ever seen it Like I don't think any movie, especially in a big like a budget kind of real dramatic movie, because they show every single like aspect of a pro wrestler. And I'm not saying that coming that from personal pro wrestling experience, but being a fan and really wanting to know ins and outs of the pro wrestling business. And one of my favorite sports documentaries is a wrestling documentary. It's Beyond the Mat. I don't know if you ever seen it.
No, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, I suggest you watch it. And that movie, The Wrestler, is very reminiscent. Very.
Who is he representing in that movie?
I feel it most closely represents Jake the Snake Roberts.
Oh, okay.
And his life and his and especially
and the look
and how his career turned out. And if you see later in Jake the Snake's career, he was wrestling in those small little gyms. Afterwards, drunk, going in there, boozed out, and on drugs, and barely even getting through a match, and signing stuff at like little Viet halls,
That was sad, man.
Yeah, and that's a real thing. I've seen those before, and I've seen them either on documentaries or I've seen versions of that in real life where they will have their table and they'll have their pictures laid out.
Well, it's kind of like the Hollywood show.
It's kind of like the Hollywood show. The exact same thing as the Hollywood show.
I mean, it's the only. Okay, so when I went to college in Springfield, Missouri, and I would go up and visit my girlfriend who lived in Kansas City. Kansas City had a big wrestling situation. I spotted Paul Valentine one time. Oh, nice. He had the big blonde hair guy.
Yeah.
He was doing 150-pound incline flies.
He wasn't shredded. He was just big.
No, he was old barrel chest.
Barrel, yep.
And like 50s, early 60s wrestler.
Yeah, strongman type stuff. Yeah,
very strong guy. And then in Dallas, when I lived there back in the 80s, in 84, 85, there was this bar where a lot of there was a wrestler scene down in Dallas. And I did not meet him, but I saw I used to see the Von Erich brothers, and I think most of them are dead. I think a couple of them are dead.
There might be only one of them left alive.
I saw Kerry and one of the other brothers. Yeah, they was pointed out to me. I did not go up to them, but anyway, in Dallas, in that area, and it was funny because wrestling. I just really didn't watch it growing up. I guess because I always thought it was fake. To the one guy punched the newscaster. Remember he slapped? I forget who it was. It was famous It was John Stossel, I think, the news guy who got hit. But very okay. So the wrestler. But see, so it's a sad movie.
It is. Yeah.
Even the relationship with his daughter.
As a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sports movies are big when you're a kid, especially in the 90s. You have Mighty Ducks, you have Angels in the Outfield, you have
Angels in the Outfield. That was filmed in Chicago. My wife was in the stadium for that. By the way, no significance at all. Just saying it was filmed at Wrigley Field down the street from our house.
Nice. You have I remember Blue Chips. As in the 90s growing up, I loved that because I was a big Shaq fan, and that was Shaq and Penny Hardaway. That's where on the filming of that is where they met. And if you've seen the ESPN 30 for 30 with the Magic Hour, Shaq talks about that when they would play these scrimmage games for the filming, that's what he didn't know who Penny was, and then he instantly called up the people back in Orlando and was like, I want this guy on my team. So that's how Penny Hardaway got onto Shaq. Yeah, was based from that movie. I just watched it again. That movie holds up. That's such a great movie.
All these movies we're talking about will be on we'll list and we'll put up so you can watch them for yourselves.
Yeah. There's another similar. There's another movie with the same kid from Angels in the Outfield, but he broke his arm and then he was able to throw the fast pitched ball. I forgot the name of it. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
No, I do know it.
Yeah. Then what other movies in the 90s? 90s had so many great sports kids movies. Little Giants. You had with Ed O'Neill. I think he was Ed O'Neill and Rick Moranis. I think that was that movie. Mr. Baseball with Tom Selleck. I thought that was a great one. I love that one. I don't know what else. Major Leagues. The Major League movies are always Charlie Sheen and all that. Those are always Tom Berenger. Those are always great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those were good.
Yeah. Let's go. What about sports? I think as far as documentaries, Beyond the Mat is one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Screwball, I think it's on Netflix right now. It's about the baseball steroid scandal. I said watch that one if you can.
I did watch. Did you see on the steroid thing? Did you watch of the Sosa McGuire 30 for 30 that was on?
I haven't seen that one. No.
Excellent. They show a game that me, my mom, and my friend Tom are at, and it's the one where Sosa hit the 48th and McGuire hit 48th, 49th, and in Cubs Stadium, Wrigley, you throw back the ball. They throw back the ball, but they didn't throw back McGuire's balls in those days. But it's interesting because we were sitting right by McGuire's dugout, and and at that time I had, was lifting. I'm, had familiar with the steroids, and I saw that guy's forearm, and I said, "That's a leg. It's not even an arm. It's a leg." So don't tell me, that he's not juicing up. But for me though. Well, if you're going to go documentary sports, then I'm going to go with
your favorite ones up. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to go with Ken Burns on baseball.
Okay.
That series is the problem is it's going to end.
Yeah.
You're not going to get it ends. Around 2000 something. But what I thought was interesting, and Ken Burns to me is the documentary of he owns it.
Yeah.
His manipulation. He taught everybody how to manipulate the photos and actually bring you into the scenes, like with the Civil War documentary.
Yeah.
But the opening line in the baseball documentary says, "Baseball, where the best in the game fail 7 out of 10 times." And I found that to be, and growing up playing baseball, so that would be mine. I really wasn't thinking about documentaries too much, but Pump and Iron then would be obviously up there with me because I've spent, my life savings on whey protein. And, and it's interesting. We were talking about the meccas and the iconic when my wife went to New York to watch Broadway, and she came back and said, "I understand why you work out at Gold's Gym, because it's the Mecca. It's where the greatest are there."
Yeah.
And but then climbing. So I watched Maru, the Dawn Wall, Free Solo, Valley Uprising. These have been documentaries that I have actually been watching recently after going to Yosemite. The Last Dance, I guess, would be good. Oh, yeah,
that's a great one, yeah. 30 for 30, if anything, like documentaries, 30 for 30s, The Last Dance. Screwball on Netflix, which the baseball steroid scandal. Such a great one. It's well done. Senna. I don't know if he was Formula One.
No, I can see the thumbnail.
Yes.
Netflix in my head, but no, I have not watched. I'm not a race guy.
Senna's a great one. Who else? In terms of documentaries, those are the ones that come to mind. Senna and Beyond the Mat. Andre the Giant. I like watching some of these pro wrestling.
Did you watch I know this is not that kind of wrestling, but did you watch the movie with about the DuPont guy who was involved in the U.S. wrestling? It had Steve Carroll in it.
Yeah. Foxcatcher.
Yeah. Did you like that?
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah.
Mark Ruffalo's in it too, I believe.
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo's in it too. Yeah.
There's also a documentary about that's worth watching too.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's pretty good. So
that one's good too.
When you start opening the can, when we talked about Tarantino, but really we could talk a whole year about Tarantino. Sport movies, but I'm going to give you my list. Okay. One of them, mine are older than you, and I think that's what's an interesting concept, because
mine's are
when you were a kid, I had to be working for a job. You understand? So it takes away the different things. So we talked about Rocky. 1976, Best Picture. Kind of interesting that a lot of these great sport movies are Best Pictures.
Yeah.
Going all the way back to Pride of the Yankees, 1942 with Gary Cooper. That's in the top 10 of everybody's, by the way.
Yeah.
It's about Lou Gehrig. He gives this famous speech on his last day that he's the luckiest man in the world.
Yeah.
Now, Lou Gehrig played 17 years, didn't miss a game. He was called the Iron Man. He, ALS is, is named that after. So I'm going to go Rocky, 76, Sylvester Stallone, Best Picture. We would not know of Sylvester Stallone if he would have sold his script and not starring in it. Number 2, Pumpin' Iron, 1977. Arnold. I mean, we would not know of Arnold because of that. By the way, that was a very well received documentary. Went to Cannes. Number 3 is Hoosiers, the basketball story with Gene Hackman, 1986. I love Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman's roommate in Pasadena was Dustin Hoffman. And they studied at the Pasadena Playhouse, and they were chosen to be the least to succeed of all the actors there by their classmates. And I think Gene Hackman, with his rage, used that as Michael Jordan did and everybody else. Number 4 is The Natural with Robert Redford.
A great one.
And what I like about it is how that movie was tied into the Kirk Gibson home run with the Dodgers. Kind of that same. I don't know if you've ever Googled the YouTube, but they cut that movie together with Kirk Gibson, who's one of the great moments in sports. I'm going to go with Rudy, which we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Bad News Bears, 1976, Walter Matthau, kind of like the kids' movie. It was the kids' movie had Tatum O'Neal, and it was the kids' movie of my time.
Yeah.
Very, very popular. Cinderella Man, and I probably put down this list because I've watched it 200 times in the last week. And I know it's Ron Howard, and he pulls the heartstrings, but there's some powerful moments that make me feel exactly the same every single time. And Renee Zellweger, who doesn't get her due. I mean, she got her Oscar for Judy Garland, which was a spectacular performance, not the greatest of movies. But she, from Jerry Maguire, Bridget Jones' Diary, I mean, this lady is a power. And even in Chicago, she didn't get the Oscar, but she outdanced everybody. Yeah. So that's a great movie. Now, this is going to be crazy, but are you familiar with the runner Steve Prefontaine? There's a movie, Prefontaine, with Jared Leto. He's about the runner from Oregon.
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies, and Jared Leto, of course, from Fight Club to winning the Oscar for Dallas Buyers Club. And a rock musician. But Steve Prefontaine held every college running record from the 1 mile up to the 10K. And if you know his story, the American team hotel in Munich, 1972, where he was at, could see the Israeli that was taken over by the PLO. So everyone sat in their rooms, and then they had to go out and run a 10K. He lost the 10K coming in 4th place, but he took the lead 3 times in 6 miles in that level, and that is just unbelievable. And he was killed in a car accident. He's actually the one to fight the NCAA about, or not NCAA, but the Olympic Committee about paying athletes because you're making all this money off us. And he was killed in a car.
That battle's still going on.
So, and then I'm going to go with Raging Bull. Another boxing story, but also you got Martin Scorsese. I mean, and Raging Bull is considered one of the best movies of that decade. You have De Niro, you've got Pesci, who reunite for Goodfellas and then reunite last year for The Irishman.
Yeah.
So, and then I like Moneyball with Brad Pitt.
Sounds great. I like that one too.
And Jonah Hill, and it's a true story. And I just love, it seems like that's who Brad Pitt is in that movie. I don't see any acting. He's eating Twinkies. He's hanging out. He's I really like the movie, and I know he was heavily involved in producing it and the script.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought in Sorkin, by the way, to punch it up.
Sorkin's good. I mean,
so
I like
because of that. So
that movie, they got a lot of nominations for that movie. That movie got nominated.
Six
it was a fun movie. Yeah, it was a great movie.
I watched it when it was on my. I've probably seen it 8 or 9 times.
Yeah.
Not in completion, but then different parts. And 3 of my. Okay, so I want to get to this. Metacritics. You know who Metacritics is, right? So they're an organization on the internet.
Okay.
And they take all the stats and crunch the numbers. So Oscar nominations, money, reviews, everything.
Yeah.
So this is the USA Metacritic's top 10. Rocky, Raging Bull, Field of Dreams, Hoosiers, which we talked about, $1 Million Baby, Rudy, Remember the Titans, Denzel Washington, Miracle, about the 1980 hockey team with Kurt Russell, Sandlot, and Caddyshack.
There you go. Yeah.
Now, Caddyshack, okay, so comedy, but that represents golf. And I love that movie. I saw that movie at the theater because Bill Murray was just starting to grow.
What about Happy Gilmore?
We were talking about the Ben Stiller working at the elderly home the other day, literally at work 2 days ago. Remember?
Yeah.
Okay, let me give one other list.
Put you to sleep. Yeah.
I follow exactly. I follow AFI, American Film Institute. So this is their movies.
Okay.
So, and I like this because of a couple choices. One is Raging Bull's number 1. Sport movie, Oscars. That year. I mean, are we going to see more? Are we going to see that kind of director? Are we going to right? Number 2, Rocky. Pride of the Yankees, which we discussed about Lou Gehrig.
Yeah.
Hoosiers. Bull Durham, which is Tim Robbins.
Yeah.
Isn't Kevin Costner and Tim Robbins in that, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, and he's in The Hustler, which is a true story, I guess, based off of the Paul Newman film. And then the continuation Color of Money with Tom Cruise, Paul Newman. Caddyshack is up there in 7 for AFI, so it makes two of the major lists. Breaking Away, which is a movie about bicycle racing. It introduces Dennis Quaid to us. And The Natural, and then the last one was Jerry Maguire.
Nice.
Which, iconic movie. Yeah. Show Me the Money. I mean, that's in our... Yeah. I guess if catchphrases from your movies become our lexicon, then they're pretty huge, don't you think?
I think so.
Mean, Arnold, I'll be back. I mean, that lasted for years. So, in sport films, they pull at the heartstrings. We talked about that. It's funny. I didn't think about the $1 Million Baby, but the truth is, there was something in that movie that was spectacular, and it just wasn't the performances of Eastwood and Morgan and the girl. There's a scene in the locker room where he's going to kill her. Yeah. And he's putting in the fluid that he's going to put into the IV. And Morgan Freeman comes in, and he's the moral conscience of it. But if you watch the film work, they filmed that it's the shadows talking the conversation. So almost like the alter egos. And in a great film, man, when you layer that subtext of visual, the strength was so powerful. And back in those days, I was living in Chicago, and if a movie was coming out, I don't want to see it with you, I don't want to talk about it, and I don't want to read the review. But if I know something's coming up, I used to go to the matinee before anyone. And so I saw that film before, and I was just blown away by it. There's some great sport films, more coming out. Do you think that it seems like, or it appears to me, that sports documentaries are starting to take over sports films? It seems like we've been deluged in the last couple years. Well, I heard this phrase, and I didn't make it up, but someone said the documentary filmmakers are what the science fiction growth was in the 50s. Everybody started doing science fiction, and it's easier to do a documentary film. You don't need a studio. You can shoot it yourself. You can edit it. You can do everything.
Yeah.
But does that seem from when you were younger to now?
As far as big budget movies or anything like that, they're still making sports movies, but they're not resonating with anybody. No one's really watching them. They're not really they're not putting them out there to, they're not marketing them to the masses. You get one every now and then that flies under the radar, that maybe gets a little buzz, but kind of goes away real quick. There's not a lot out there. So I think for the most part, sports documentaries, Last Dance, any of the 30 for 30s.
Did you see Icarius, by the way? It's about drug doping, kind of fits into your screwball thing or whatever.
Yeah, the Russian thing. I think they're both on Netflix, if anybody hasn't watched them. But
Netflix has been switching things off and on. Some things I really loved have disappeared. Like Mad Men.
They do that often, and then they'll bring it back, and then 6 months
Mad Men was my wife and I staple. I mean, that was our Narcos.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Breaking Bad too. I like great series, and we're jumping always off the subject, but great series.
Yeah.
They're so great, and the characters and storylines are so great, and the story is encapsulated that you're getting a movie feel. It's like I can turn on certain Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Mad Men. It doesn't matter where I click in. I am so caught into that Narcos.
Yeah.
Like when I watch Narcos, I'm not going all the way through. I just punch it wherever it happens to be. Narcos, we have on our Netflix, we have 4 or 5 different people you set up. We even have one called Poop Man. That's just the garbage shit. No, literally. In fact, my wife one time put Netflix up at her school, and the Poop Man came up, and then she had to switch it over. But so Narcos has started on 4 or 5, and Breaking Bad has started on so many different that if I put on mine or my wife's or my daughter's or whatever, wherever it is, I just take off, and I love it. I'm totally entertained.
I think for me, it'd probably be like a 70s show, Narcos, I Love Lucy. What's the other one I was just watching too? Star Trek, the original series, stuff like that.
Okay, Star Trek original. Is that with Picard?
No, with Kirk, with William Shatner.
Really?
Yeah, I love those. Those. There's maybe 4 seasons or 5 seasons or whatever, but it's so good.
The first show.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, from the 60s.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just put that on. I don't care what episode it's on. I'll just put that one on.
You know what you need to do then? Google John Belushi, Captain Kirk, and watch some They used to do Saturday Night Live skits all the time.
Oh, really?
From what do you call the thing? What's the bridge? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Right.
Bridge. Yeah.
Google that. Just do it. You'll be entertained for the rest of tonight.
Shatner's one of those guys I want to meet.
He staggered even the voice.
Yeah.
I think William Shatner, when he came to the Hollywood show, was the biggest draw of anyone who was there.
I'll send you. Shatner just went on Mike Tyson's podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send you a link to it. Yeah, it was a really good one. Yeah.
I heard he's not the nicest person, but I don't know.
I heard he's not the nicest person. Well, he's nice, but if you're trying to ask him for autographs or anything like that or pictures, he's not. He's kind of standoffish. That's what I hear. He's not really. He doesn't like to do that in public. I think he likes to get paid for it.
What was that cop show? T.J. Hooker, right? Was it?
Yeah, I love that. I love Shatner. Did you ever watch him in Boston Legal, where he was?
Because wasn't Boston Legal with James Spader?
Yeah.
Those two.
Man. Those two. Oh,
yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Great conflict. Great acting, and I mean, James Spader. You know what? He's a genius. You know why?
He is.
He
Yeah.
realized who he was,
Yeah.
and he's the same thing, and he works all the time.
Yep.
Is he not? Pretty much.
Yeah.
Going back to what's the movie? Famous movie. Robert Downey Jr. is really young in it. He's a drug addict, and James Spader makes him do things for money.
I'm not sure.
Oh, it's
my first exposure to James Spader was probably Stargate.
The TV show?
No, the movie.
Oh, the movie.
Yeah, the movie where where it started from.
I always forget how old I am compared to you. You know,
him and Kurt Russell were in the movie.
Oh yeah.
And
the black actress, the transgender actress, is in it.
Is she in it?
Yeah, isn't she the one from the Oscar-nominated movie with Stephen Fry, the British, The Cry?
That's a sci-fi movie I love watching. Stargate. The one time I remember when I was young too, and it wasn't that young, but 2 Days in the Valley, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now I was jealous of James Spader in that movie because he was mixed up sexually and romantically with a newcomer, Charlize Theron. So that was like, yeah. So I was kind of hating on him a little bit. Huh?
The movie I was talking about with Robert Downey Jr., Less Than Zero.
Less Than Zero, okay.
From 1987, and it has Andrew McCarthy, Jamie Getz, Robert Downey Jr., and James Spader.
And then in terms of TV, James Spader has been very successful. He goes from does Boston Legal with Shatner, and then he does a couple of seasons, or at least a season of The Office, and then he goes.
He was also in the movie before 2 Days in the Valley was Crash.
Crash, yeah.
Okay, so I went to Stargate because I want to see if I'm actually if I got this right or not.
Yeah, but Shatner here is not the. Don't go up to him and ask for.
I'm right on with that. Yeah. Of course. It was the actor is Jay Davidson. And played the transgender person in The Crying Game with Stephen Fry in 1992, and she is the Egyptian god. Yeah. So I saw that at the theater, by the way. But anyway, so he knows who he is. He plays the same guy and everything. And I didn't watch the TV show, though.
No, I didn't watch the TV show either. No, me neither.
It has the guy MacGyver dude.
Yeah, I didn't watch it either. It was
I mean, if you got MacGyver, he's fixing everything anyway. So what? Like, why do I need to watch it? What's the conflict? He's going to fix it. You know what I mean? So I couldn't get into it. I don't know. Yeah, it's good movies.
So sports movies, in a nutshell, it spans decades. So many good ones. But I really like the '90s sports movies for me.
Well, that's your era.
Yeah, the current. Well, I say dramas. You got to go. Rangy Bull, I put it on all the time. The Wrestler, I love. But '90s sports movies, especially with like kids movies, especially, we had a lot of them.
Now, what year were you born again?
85.
That's the year I moved to Chicago.
Yeah.
It's 23 years old.
And '90s had a lot of good basketball movies. A lot of good like.
Well, the top four sports were huge back then, though. You didn't have a lot of other avenues. I mean, we didn't grow up watching. There was no soccer on. We would get hockey. We had hockey, the main four. That was it.
Yeah, White Men Can't Jump. Shoot, you even had Space Jam. You had Above the Rim, which is more like it had like Tupac in it. I thought that was great.
Oh, okay.
He Got Game with Denzel Washington. I thought that was great.
When you were talking about documentaries, and I forgot to bring this up, and I don't know, did you see the documentary film Hoop Games?
Hoop Games? No, I don't think I've seen it.
Well, it's okay. Of all the critics, New York Times, Variety, everything, it's number one, and it follows two black inner city basketball stars and their progression to try and to get to the pros, big college, small college, It's worth watching. Incredible documentary. I did not think about it, but really, in ranking, it's up there.
Yeah.
In fact, most critics put it number one, so it's a highly recommended to everybody and to you.
Yeah.
And it came out in '94.
Nice. Did you ever see? I'm looking at some sports movies right now. Did you ever see the one with Kevin Bacon where he goes to Africa? There is the air up there. Did you ever see? I totally forgot about that movie.
Can we even mention that movie today? I mean, it's like, well, you know the whole thing about Kevin Bacon. That if you take 3 jumps, you can link everybody in the history of Hollywood.
Kevin Bacon, I think.
Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
What is it?
I think it's 6. Isn't it 6 degrees or 6?
Something like that.
Something like that. Kevin Bacon. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, he was in the movie JFK.
Yeah.
Remember, with Oliver Stone? But think of the old actors that are in that movie. So Kevin Bacon's in the movie with Jack Lemmon. So you can take Jack Lemmon, connect him all the way back to everybody, in the 40s and 30s?
And how we're just talking about Narcos and then connects to Kevin Bacon. Because his daughter's in Narcos.
Yeah. I worked on a background when I moved out here in the Valley on his wife's show, where she was a detective figuring stuff out.
Yeah,
it has the guy from Silence of the Lambs was also in it as a head cop. Mm-hmm. I can't think of the name. I didn't watch it.
Anyway, Cedric. I remember that detective show she was on. Yeah, I don't remember the name of it.
We were standing in line for the cafeteria or to get the food, and he drove up and dropped her off in a black sports car. And he's older, so he's very chiseled, I think the word.
Yeah.
And when you see these people in person, but anyway, everyone just kind of looked, and he was cool. He waved, whatever, and just pulled out. But anyway,
one of my favorite Kevin Bacon roles, and I don't remember seeing him too much in too many other movies where he played this type of character, but in him and Mystic River.
Oh,
like as the cop, a detective. I don't know. He just fit that role in that movie so well.
And the way he walked in that, okay? Think about that. Think about how he moved in A Few Good Men. Almost the same kind of. Yeah. But Mystic River is that's a hard movie.
That's a hard movie. That's a hard movie to watch, especially as a parent.
Because of what the subject matter.
Oh yeah.
And
his small portions in the movie here and there as a detective, I thought, I don't know, it's captivating, and I haven't seen him. I don't remember seeing him in too many other movies where he played that type of character and that he gave that kind of performance. Where he would when Sean Penn found out about his daughter and he's kind of just standing there, he doesn't even need to say anything, and Sean Penn knows what happened. Mm-hmm. And he just looks at him, and then he kind of looks down at the ground and looks back at him and all that stuff. That movie, him in that movie is one of my favorite roles of his. I don't know.
You know what? That's a movie I need to go back and watch more. It's Tim Robbins, Sean Penn,
Kevin Bacon, Lawrence Fishburne.
Who else is in it? Who's the other? Oh, Lawrence Fishburne's the other cop.
Yeah.
And who's also a phenomenal. That dude
Emmy Rossum.
Yeah.
What's her show? I forgot her show. You know that where she's at, that Chaotic Family. She's a star of that Chaotic.
Oh, it's a Chicago show.
Yeah, it's
with
William H. Macy.
William Macy. Shameless.
Yeah, Shameless. There you go.
I think he took it out. Yes, excellent show. Yeah, she's very good. It's a good film.
Sad movie all around. Even for Tim Robbins' character, how his character ends up. Oh, I just feel bad for him. I don't know.
It really captures that too, the area, and it's a good movie. Definitely needs revisited. I mean, Sean Penn is just it's funny because Sean Penn, my first experience with Sean Penn is watching him in a movie called Bad Boys.
Mm.
Did you see that movie? It's where he's in a juvenile detention. It's in Chicago.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen it. Haven't seen it.
And then he was in a movie I really enjoyed called At Close Range. Mm-hmm. He plays with his brother, and it's a true story about their father, who's Christopher Walken, and ends up having to kill the brothers because of having to give up information. Yeah. Great film. Yeah, good. Definitely some good stuff there. You know what? The truth is, we are blessed to have just a boatload of great movies to watch in life.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's interesting how you always, because I watch movies as film, or as they're almost like my radio in life. Mm-hmm. I go back to the same ones. I mean, and it's really. It's fascinating.
And the great thing, too, is that we have easier access to all of them now. Because even if you have to buy
for my carbohydrate intake or beer intake, but definitely for, so today is my day off.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm tired. I really worked out hard yesterday, worked. So I'm going to watch a movie later. I don't know what it's going to be. There are no new movies, so you have to go to the old ones. Yeah. And, Netflix is pumping. What do you think is the best system to view movies?
As far as
Netflix, is it Hulu, is it Amazon? If you were to pick one
if you're looking for movies and TV, I would say Hulu.
Really?
Yeah. Just because if you're not looking to pay for it, you know what I mean? Like if you go on Amazon, majority of the stuff you're gonna have to buy. Mm-hmm. Netflix, they take some off, they take some on. I would say Netflix is probably the more user friendly, and I would probably the most I use. So I guess you would probably say Netflix. But if you're looking for TV and movies all in one, that is a little bit easier to navigate, and you don't have to pay for every single thing because it's all there. It's probably Hulu.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Yeah, I don't.
Because I like Amazon. I like the choice. There's a lot of choice on Amazon, but majority of the stuff you have to either purchase.
Yeah, because they give you side venues to HBO and stuff.
Yeah.
And stuff. The problem is I just don't have time to watch everything.
No,
in the old days, we went to the movies every Friday. That's what we did.
I love going to the movies. I go to the movies often.
Now, I heard that AMC, I read, is going to open.
And some states, I heard, yeah.
Mm-hmm. At 15 cents. Tickets. No, that's what it said. That's what it said. I didn't read the article. I don't know the parameters, but that's what the headline said.
Probably not in California. Probably not in LA. It's not going to happen. They're going to be,
Dude, are these gyms going to, I went by 2 or 3 stores that now have closing signs in the last 2 weeks over in San Marino and in over in Old Town Pasadena.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot more. It's gonna be pretty bad. It's gonna be. I think so.
I think this winter. I could not. I don't get fooled a lot in life, but if you would have told me, if we were talking in March, we were at work talking about it. In fact, we talked about it at work. And if you would have told me that, in the end of August, September, I'm going to be stinking locked down, But it's weird. People are really traveling to our hotels. Everybody in my hotel is either from Azusa, from the fire, from the smoke, or from Pasadena or LA.
Yeah.
I don't have any foreign visitors in my hotel. It's weird.
From my hotel, your former hotel, from what I hear, it's majority locals. They're all locals.
I know.
Looking to do a little getaway for the night or the weekend.
Getaway.
Literally. Getaway party.
No, getaway. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it's a different game. But truth is, you know what? My job does what it needs. I have 3 days off. I don't drive. I make more money. I got great health care. I don't care about my job. Yeah. Let me tell you what. You go to work rested, you got a crummy life. I go to work so tired because I all my free time. Yeah. I don't sit. I'm always moving and doing stuff. Yeah. Always things to do. Yeah. I got a flat tire in my truck. In fact, I got to go fix.
All right.
I hit the curb. I hit the curb and tore a chunk out of the tire.
God.
Parking.
All right. All right. On that note, then.
On that note, have a good night.
Yeah, thank you for
watching.
Please
check our list. We'll have the movies that you should be watching. If you have any suggestions, put them on our Instagram. Let us know, because we'll talk about them.
All right.
Movies are for everyone. Have a good night, everybody.
All right, man. Take care.